Self-help, self-development, working on yourself. Everybody hears these terms, but we all have a different idea of what that looks like. But how do you know when your hard work on yourself is working? What is actually going on when you're doing personal development? What we are going to explore today is vital. We'll look at what's going on when we are growing ourselves, how we can do it more effectively, and more importantly, we'll give a few steps that you can immediately do to jumpstart your personal development journey. So you're watching this video and you might be in one of a few places. You could have come to the realization that you're not going to get where you want in your career or in your personal life without some growth, and you want to know where to start. You could be somebody who's been dabbling in self-development for a while. Maybe you've read a few books or attended some speaking engagements, and you want to grow quicker and more effectively. Or maybe you're a business or personal coach and you want to better understand how to coach your clients and get the best results. What we're going to talk about today will help you all. The principle we're going to talk about is at the core of self-development, and it is universal. So what is it? Well, the best way to explain is to start with a basic explanation of why we do the things we do. To illustrate this, let's use this tool. It's called the Know Yourself to Lead Yourself tool. And here's how it works. We all have natural tendencies that drive our behavior. These tendencies are often ingrained in our personalities, and they're just natural to us. For some, that could be a desire to get approval from others for our actions. It could be a desire to convince people of our opinions. It could be a desire to win at all costs, a desire to impose structure on situations that we're involved in. A tendency could be wanting others to feel cared about or loved, or a tendency could be always thinking towards the future and sound the alarm when we see danger approaching. None of these tendencies in themselves are bad, and they all have their place in our relationships. These tendencies drive our actions. So a good example would be, I am somebody who wants to convince somebody of my opinion. That drives me, and so therefore, I'm very anxious to share my opinion. I want to talk to people. I want to convince them that I'm correct. Most of the time, our actions are on autopilot. We have a tendency, and then we act upon it. That action always has a consequence. Good, bad, indifferent, there is a consequence to every action we take. Maybe I turned someone away with my insistence that I'm correct, and now they're annoyed with me. Perhaps I changed their mind and now they agree. Both of those consequences come from the same action. Finally, the culmination of the consequences surrounding my action define the reality that I live in. People believe because I constantly am trying to convince people of my opinion that I am passionate about correcting people when they're incorrect, and then I'm a know-it-all. That's an example of defining the reality around me. So I've just given a few simplified answers here, but this defines our basic operation as people in relation to others and to ourselves. So what in the heck does this have to do with self-development? Well, the answer lies in the very name of this channel and this tool. Know yourself to lead yourself. The first step in being able to lead yourself, to grow to be better, to practice self-development, is to first understand who we are. And more importantly, what are our tendencies? In essence, self-development is really just the exploration of who we are, followed by the practice of thinking before we act. Change takes place when we first understand who we are at the core level, and we work backwards around the process. So if I understand the reality that I want for myself, for example, to be respected as somebody that's wise and level-headed, then I need to start to think through the types of consequences that will achieve that reality. Like possibly being somebody who has others' best interests at heart and who has a calming effect on other people. Then that leads to me thinking through my actions and what I do as a result of my own tendencies. And therein lies the change we want. It sits right between our tendencies and our actions. I know I want to speak and convince somebody of something, but I know based on awareness of the other person and myself that I should choose to listen right now rather than speak. That simple choice affects everything. So, at its very core, self-development is about holding up mirrors to ourselves to better understand who we are so we can pause and make more informed actions in our lives. The tendency may never change, but our actions do. The best coaches, the best books, the best seminars, they all do one thing in common. They hold up a mirror to all of us and allow us time to reflect on our own tendencies and hopefully make a difference in our actions. A mentor of mine once said, "My goal is to uncover problems in my own life 6 months from now that I don't even know exist today." Essentially, his goal was to know himself so much better 6 months from now that he could identify tendencies that did not get him what he wants and make better actions. So Self-awareness and self-discovery lie at the core of self-development. So what? How do I do that? Well, that's probably worthy of its own video, but this concept is explored in the work of Dr. Tasha Eurich, an author and psychologist who has spent her career researching this very subject. According to her research, self-awareness is actually split into two types of awareness: internal self-awareness and external self-awareness. Internal self-awareness is how aware we are of our own feelings, tendencies, behaviors, thoughts, strengths, and weaknesses. External self-awareness is how we understand how others view us. This is essentially the understanding of what others experience when speaking with us and how we are perceived. Now again, while that's a topic for its own video, we can take away from this that to fully develop ourselves and grow, we must spend time becoming more aware of both who we are internally and how we're perceived externally. Now here's something shocking. From her research, Dr. Eurich discovered that even though most people believe themselves to be self-aware, only about 10 to 15% of people actually fit the criteria of actually being self-aware and therefore able to speed up their personal growth. What's the takeaway here? What are we supposed to make of this? Well, let's start by giving some actionable steps to becoming more self-aware of who we are, and then to turn that into personal and professional growth. Number 1, hold up a mirror. It's as simple as looking in a mirror. Not exactly, but there are many mechanisms in the self-improvement world to hold up a mirror to oneself to understand better who you are. The most effective way is to have a mentor, or at least a personal coach that can help with both types of self-awareness. But since those can be really expensive for most people, reading well-researched books, listening to experts on their podcasts, and then journaling and meditating on what you learn will help you begin to recognize your own tendencies and think about your actions. Number 2, apply what you've learned. So one of the many dangers in the self-development world is learning without application. It doesn't mean anything if you are cognizant of who you are, but you're unwilling to act on any of it. Being self-aware means nothing if you don't interrupt the area between your tendencies and your actions. Application in the self-development world is essentially the reprogramming of your mind and the adoption of new habits. This is not an easy process, which is why not everybody will do it. But at the end of the day, one of the best things that you can do to begin your self-development journey, or at least take it to the next level, is to first understand that all of this begins with self-awareness. It is almost impossible to develop yourself and grow when you are not even aware of where you currently stand. So let me know in the comments, what is a tendency of yours that you're aware of? If it's difficult to come up with enough of them, that's a good sign that some self-reflection is due for you. I look forward to responding to many of your comments. Please take a moment to like the video if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe to the channel to be updated when I release more personal and professional development content. I am a certified personal and executive coach and a consultant with years of experience in HR, entrepreneurship, and coaching. Typically, coaching is reserved for the wealthy or business owners, and my goal with this channel is to reach a larger audience with information that I think everybody should know. Know.Lead.Grow is a business that I started based around the very concepts in this video. We first need to know ourselves to lead ourselves and then others, and eventually grow, and that's what we'll be doing here on this channel. So again, make sure to subscribe here if you share that vision and you want real-world, science-backed, and applicable information that will help you grow both personally and professionally. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.